Well, folks, we're back out on Lake Wylie this morning, and it's a little cool. We're supposed to get some rain. Temperatures are still kind of chilly, but the water is still got just this beautiful stain to it. We'll run around and see if we can't catch some. It's just so nice. It's gotten to where it's such a rare situation when the water's actually got color to it that now, you know, when we get it, it's like, you know, you just try to take advantage of it as much as you can and just enjoy it, because there's no doubt the fish bite better in this dirty water. And it's just a matter of taking advantage of it and figuring them out. Yeah. Oh wow. That little bitty fish is right up on the dang rocks. But he is not what I'm after. That one is a little better. A little better, not much. But they're getting it. Both those have that front hook in their mouth, which is what we like to see. Cool. Oh, it pulled off. Damn it. Damn it. That was a good fish too. Knocked my dang speed trap around backwards. There we go. He come off. I had to make like 4 casts right there to get that little booger to bite it. That's a good one. There we go. Dang, that fish is fighting too. That's a little bit better. He's got a little more girth to him. He ain't real big, but sweet. Throw back in there and get another one. He thumped it too. You know, folks, a lot of times this, you know, these crankbaits are just so productive when the water's dirty like this, and the big reason I think it is because it produces a fairly constant vibration and sound, which helps this fish to kind of key in on it, which is, you know, why I think it's as productive as they are. But again, I'm using, you know, a fiberglass cranking rod, which, you know, as I was saying, you know, this rod is fairly old, hard to find, but you know, the new rods, a lot of the, you know, the Elite Techs and a lot of the new rods are using a composite where they're mixing the fiberglass and graphite together so you get the right action, because you need that little bit softer tip so that fish, when they come up to get that bait, you know, they're able to suck it in without the rod rebounding and taking it away from them. A little bitty guy. So you really want that softer tip for crankbait fishing. You know, and in most cases when you're retrieving the bait, the bait's bumping off the bottom and hitting the rocks and, you know, hitting stumps or hitting some kind of cover so that it deflects, so the bait's not swimming in a straight line and just with a constant action, because it's that changing of the action, that bait hitting and deflecting off things or stopping, is what in a lot of cases triggers the fish to bite the bait. And if you're not, you know, hitting the bait or hitting the bottom or hitting some type of cover, then what you want to do is just periodically stop the bait, pull it, you know, do something with the action to make it a little bit irregular. You'll catch more fish, because typically it's, you know, like I said, when you stop or start the bait, when the bait does something a little bit different that triggers that fish to bite it. Just for giggles, I thought I'd stop over here and throw the spinnerbait on these trees that it's like the only stretch of laydowns left on the lower end of the lake. And they're so beat up and tore down, they really, not a whole lot left to them. There was a tournament years ago. I pulled up over here and threw a spinnerbait. It's a cold time of the year. Pulled up, threw a spinnerbait up in one of these trees and caught like a 5 or 6 pounder. Turned right back around, threw right back in the same tree. Next cast, caught a 3 pounder. Left it, came back about an hour later, threw back in that tree, caught another 3 pounder. It was just, I was like, really caught me off guard. All I'm trying to do with this spinnerbait is just slow roll it through the limbs, and what I mean by slow rolling is just reeling it just fast enough to feel that blade turn. And letting that spinnerbait bump into the cover. And a lot of times, like right there where that spinnerbait tries to hang up on something, and then when you pop it loose, that blade flutters, and that change in the action is what triggers that fish to bite in a lot of cases. Sometimes they're really violent strikes, which is pretty cool. I could deal with a violent strike right about now. Dang it. Trying to slow roll the spinnerbait around on this point. And
then you can go back to your little point down and rod if you start to feel. Why do something that's working and then change to something that obviously?
Well, because I'm trying to catch a different quality fish. I mean, I'm catching fish on that crankbait, but they're smaller fish. I mean, I haven't.
You're not into the believing that you catch little ones, but same thing you catch big ones too?
No. A big fish behaves differently than a little fish. It's funny that you asked that question though about, why change and do something different. Because that's exactly, that's exactly why I changed, is to try to figure out how to catch the bigger fish, because what I've been catching on the crankbait has just been little. So what I'm trying to do is figure out how to catch that bigger fish, and it's going to be, it may be similar kinds of stuff. It may be, fishing these rocky or riprap banks, but, it may be fishing it a different way or with a different presentation. I don't know. You just have to. I mean, that's the thing about fishing is that it's a puzzle, and you just have to, and it changes from day to day and from hour to hour, and you just have to constantly keep adjusting and trying different things. You know, trying to go to a bait that I think is a little bigger, got a little bigger profile, and a little bit different action. Also suspends, you know, in the water column, because so many of the fish that you mark on, that I'm marking on the depth finder, are suspended. That was originally my idea, that I was just going to throw a jig and a jerkbait all day today, but yeah, that crankbait bite is so good right now. It's just hard not to throw it at least some. And they just catching them almost at will. But they're just little. I mean, that's the. Now, when the water was muddier, you know, last week, and there were some better quality fish up. Windblown point, big rocks, main channel. All the right ingredients. Something just pecked on that trailer. Oh. He came back and got it. Little, oh, it came off. That fish hit that thing once, either that fish or another fish, and then came back and got it again. Ooh, I just had one bump it right there. Oh, yeah, and that's why all the pros, are running Evinrudes, right? Because they're a better motor. Come here. Thank you. Cut it out. Yeah, a little bit better fish. Not much better, but a little bit better than what I was catching on that crankbait. Kind of odd, because I made several casts through there, and on that last cast I felt like one had tried to get it, but it just didn't. Just didn't hook up with the fish. And then you know, sometimes the fish will just swim up and hit the blade or grab the trailer. They'll do different things, and you don't hook them. Yeah, folks, because again, all I'm trying to do is just really, you know, figure out how to catch bigger fish, because that's, you know, one, we want to catch fish. Two, we want to catch big fish. And the one we got figured out, I mean, we can take a little crankbait, whether it be the, you know, Little John or the speed trap, we can take that little crankbait and run around and catch all the little fish we want, just about, but that's not what we want to do. Now we're trying to figure out how to catch the bigger fish. And so try some different things and see what we can come up with. But, yeah, maybe. I definitely think that this dirtier water is the way to go, that because these fish have been feeding so much more aggressively in this dirty water. I certainly think that it's, you know, that the odds or the chances of catching that better quality fish are better here in the dirtier water. I'm just reeling the spinnerbait just really slow, just barely fast enough to feel that blade turn it. And that's where that really smooth reel comes in, because, you know, if you've got a reel that's grinding and it's really rough, and all you feel is the vibration from the reel and not the blade on your spinnerbait. You can feel that spinnerbait bouncing over the rocks. There. Nope. Still not the one we're looking for. He ate it though. Boy, that felt like a fish. Come here. Oh, look at that fat little butterball. That little fish has been eaten. Oh. Alright. Clearly I've proven that there's a bunch of fish on this point. I've caught 4 or 5 on this one point and still hadn't gotten one over about 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds. So try something a little bit different. There we go. Let's see what kind of fish we got here. Little. A little bit better, but still little. Ain't going nuts. Huh? Marginally better. Now all I'm doing is just throwing that big crankbait out there and winding it down, getting it down on the bottom and just trying to keep it on the bottom and on the rocks as it's coming off that drop. That drop is real steep. Once it comes off those rocks, it really falls off hard. That's why I'm throwing such a big crankbait. It's, yeah, a little bit deeper diver, but so that I can reel it slow and keep it down there in contact with the bottom. Just makes life a little bit easier. And that's that Spro Little John DD, which they just came out with. It's relatively new, and it is a really nice bait. The finish on it and the action of it is really pretty sweet. Oh, dang, I thought that was a fish. Whew. Got me all excited. Combination of the spiral wrap and the micro guides, which I've been experimenting with and just tickled over. Dang, I wonder how many fish are on this point I've caught. How many is that? What, 5, 6? Off this one point, and I just keep hanging out here trying to catch a bigger one. Come on. One hit it. Either I hit the fish or one hit it, I'm not sure which. But yeah, there we go. Feels like a little bit better fish. Just realized it was hooked. Yeah, it is a better fish. Good. All right. All right, so clearly it's a little bit better fish, a little bit deeper, willing to eat. Crankbait. Well, I'm trying my theory, about bigger bait a little bit deeper around some of these rocks, rocky points. I caught several fish on that last point and then put this bigger crankbait on and managed to catch 2 and actually in one better fish, so I thought, and then we got run off that point. So we're gonna run around and try this theory a little bit more. That's the problem with throwing a big crankbait up there real shallow, is that it has a tendency to get hung. Trying to throw this big crankbait around places where I know there's rocks. Maybe hoping to catch a little bit better quality fish. And I'm winding that bait down there and it's hitting the bottom, and then I'm just slowly trying to work it through and around the cover, and I think I just hung it up in a brush pile. And you spend $10 or $12 on a crankbait, and then you spend $5 on a plug knocker. The first time you use the plug knocker, it's paid for itself. Because odds are I would have had to breaking my line on that fishing string to get my, if I hadn't had a plug knocker. Wow. That fish knocked the fire out of that crankbait. Oh, come, cut it out, cut it out. Pulled up on this windy point and thought, well, I'll fish it shallow before I throw that big crankbait out there a little bit deeper. Threw that little speed trap up there, and that fish knocked the fire out of it. I was on a guide trip last year, pulled up here with a gentleman, and he was throwing a little bit different crankbait that he brought with him, and he made like 4 or 5 casts in there and didn't get a bite. I threw the speed trap in there and caught about a 6.5, 7 pound fish on that speed trap. And I mean, literally, he had just made, 2 or 3 casts right through that same area, and we laughed about it. But the speed trap is just hard to beat. Well, folks, we're about out of time today, so I hope that you've enjoyed the show, and I think I might be on to a little something that might have figured out a little something that will help me catch some of these bigger fish. But folks, remember that there is no substitute for time on the water, and definitely, if you've got any questions, feel free to come to the website. It's fishingwithrusty.com.
Fishing with Rusty is made possible by these great sponsors.